welcome everyone. Thanks for joining to another session of Hindi University. As you know, we are covering Hindi vocabulary through Bollywood songs, and we are taking very classical song like of late 70s, and then gradually we'll move to the newer songs. So for this particular class, the song I picked up is uh, Dil Ka Haal Sune Dil Wala. So I'll just take some time to sort of deconstruct this like first line of the song, and that will sort of give you an idea of what kind of vocabulary we're going to cover in this song. So dil is heart, basically ka it's like off, hal condition. So we'll go into detail of hal, but if you remember, usually whenever we are asking for the well-being of anyone, like how are you doing, right? We usually say aap kaise hain, right? There's another way of saying it which we haven't covered so far is kya hal hai or aapke kya hal hai, which literally means like what's your condition, right? So hal is nothing but a condition, and we'll go over this particular word in detail. Sune is coming from the word sunna, and dilwala it's like someone with good heart, right? So you must have seen like a lot of Hindi words we come across, they end with wala, right? And there are many types, right? Some people say it may refer to vendor, it may refer to a specific thing, or it may refer to where you are from, right? I mean, if you're from a particular place, you can use it wala in that context as well. So there are 6 cases which we're going to cover. So most of the time we'll be spending on learning and like figuring out everything about wala. So most likely by the end of this class, you will learn everything that you need to know about wala, right? And the type of like words you can make with wala. Um, we'll spend some time on hal also, like how can we use hal in different cases. And then the second line which says CDC baat. CDC baat. Baat is nothing but a conversation, and CD is straight or talk, right? Straight talk. So there are a lot of like talk shows you must have probably have come across like straight talk or like no nonsense kind of thing. So we'll look at the varieties of conversations like CDC baat, Tedi baat, right? So we'll look at all kind of conversations also, and that I think that probably will take about an hour to complete everything. So let's get started with our case one, which is Vala. So let's get started with case one of Vala. So I'll first systematically write all of them down, and then we'll go over the fundamentals of it, right? So when you say chai wala, it means a tea vendor, someone who sells tea, right? When we say sabji wala, we are referring to someone who sells vegetable, so a vegetable vendor. So type 1 is all about like vendor of a particular like things. Chai wala, sabji wala, doodh wala. Doodh wala is someone who sells milk. So in this case, let's call it a milk man or a vendor. And then taxi wala, a taxi man or someone who gives a ride. So in this case, a taxi man, also referring to a vendor. Okay, and then pan wala. So if you've been to India, after dinner, or usually they have like a uh, I don't know how to call it, but it's like a mouth freshener kind of thing, right? It's nothing but like a pan leaf. Pan is like a tree, and they put a lot of things on top of this particular leaf, like cashew, not cashew, but like a lot of things to make it a little bit minty, to give it a little bit of a minty taste, right? So or mouth freshener. So it's called pan wala. Like pan is nothing but like a mouth freshener. Someone who makes pan. Let me quickly make sure that I mute everyone. Okay, so Greg is unmuted. Right. So we're just starting with the case one of wala, which means vendor. When we say chai wala, we are referring to tea vendor. When we say sabji wala, and sabji is nothing but vegetable. So when we say sabji wala, we're referring to vegetable vendor. When we say doodh wala, it's a milkman or a vendor or person who sells milk. When we say taxi wala, like someone who gives a ride or a taxi man, right? Pan wala is someone who makes pan or who sells pan. Now, all of them are sort of like you've seen, all of them are ending with wala, right? Case one, where it's a vendor of a particular object. And all of them, like wala refers to the masculine singular, right? What if it is like a person is a feminine or a female, right? Uh, as you can probably tell, all the wala will get replaced by wali. So when we talk about feminine singular, it's wali, wali, doodh wali, taxi wali, and then pan wali. Uh, so that's conceptually that's wali, right? What about it's if it is a masculine plural? Like when we have ladka, we have ladke, right? So if you think about it, if you use the same notion here, it would chai wala becomes chai wale, right? So it's like chai wale, like many people, masculine plural, sabji wale. So oftentimes when you read the newspaper and when you come across a news that like people who sells vegetable, if they are on strike, right, or if they want their demands to meet, it will be used as sabji wale. Strike is hartal, so sabji wale hartal pe hain. I mean, I'll just write it down. Hartal. Not sure if you can see it. So HADTAL, one word. Okay, hartal is strike. Okay, so the next one is doodh wale. Again, masculine plural. Taxi wale and pan wale, masculine plural. Right. Um, so we covered masculine singular, feminine singular. This was masculine plural. What about it's a feminine plural, right? The easier way to remember is like always take one example. So when you have ladki, you have ladkiyan, right? So similar, if you have chai wali, right? Singular, the plural would be chai waliyan. Again, this is a conceptual thing, right? I mean, similarly, if it is sabji, it's sabji waliyan, दूध वालियाँ or taxi. Actually, taxi wali, pan wali. Either you can use that. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, either you can use like waliya, or either you can use. Sometimes you can use them depending on how the next, what the next word is, right? So chai wali ladkiyan. So the thing is like, so for example, let me remove this. So let's say after that you want to use ladki, chai wali ladki, right? One way would be that you put ladkiyan here to make it plural. So that way you don't change this one, right? So that is also possible that you call it chai wali ladkiyan. If you just have chai wali ladki, that means like a singular, feminine singular, right? So again, just to repeat, when we talk about feminine plural, it really depends on what you have. Like if you have like a word after wali, you can change that as well. You can say chai wali ladkiyan, or you can say sabji wali ladkiyan, right? So if that is changing, you will not change the wali. Wali, you can keep it as it is, right? If you don't want to worry about that, if you just want to refer to as chai wali, you can change it directly. You can call it chai waliya or sabji waliya. Okay. So I hope this is clear. We'll take some more example of case one before I move to the next particular case. And as always, if you come across similar like words where the wala refers to a vendor, please write down on the chat box so that way we can cover that as well. So yesterday when I posted this quiz, somebody said the best wala is gol gappe wala, gol gappe wala, or pani puri wala. So if you've been to India, you must have seen that on the streets, it's a street food basically, right? Pani puri. So it's like an appetizer, very popular. And I sort of agree with whoever posted this. Golgappe wala is like someone who sells golgappe, or like pretty much you have like a small like a fried ball, and on that they put like some minty water, which tastes very good when you eat it together. So golgappe wala, someone who sells golgappe. Um, Also, you can also say if somebody selling juice, you can get juice wala, right? So pretty much all the things that we have done on case one refers to a vendor, right? We'll take next case, but in the meantime, feel free to write down your thoughts, or like someone if you come across some of the vendors that has Vala in it, we can cover those as well. Second case is name. If you're adding Vala with the name of the city or town, name of the city or town. Okay. Um, so basically, what it means is like when you add it after like a city name plus Vala, it means like a person belongs to that person from that city or that town. Person from that city or town. So as an example, if you're from France and if you add Vala after that, France Wala, like मैं France Wala हूँ, or it's pretty much it means French, right? Um, so I'll go over more examples. Similarly, here you have Wali, French Wali, for feminine singular, right? So let me write down all the examples so that way you have something to look up to, and then we can discuss examples more. So I'll write down the list of cities here. New York, New York wala, Lucknow wala, and then Delhi wala. Right. So here what we mean is like someone from New York. Here we mean like a person from Lucknow, which is like a city in India, in Uttar Pradesh. And then you have Delhi wala from Delhi. From Delhi. Okay, so that's case two. New York wala, someone from New York. Lucknow wala, someone from New York. Delhi wala, someone from Delhi. Right. Again, if you're referring to singular, feminine, wala will become wali, and Lucknow wala will become Lucknow wali, and Delhi wala will become Delhi wali. Right. If you are a fan of Bollywood movies, um, probably a quiz for you. You know, recently there was a song, right? And I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to, if you remember it or if you've heard of it. There was a song which had this word, Dilli Wali, right? Um, let's see if some of you have seen it. You know, you can definitely write down on the chat box that we have. Um, the song is like, a very popular song in which the guy is saying that, Dilli Wali girlfriend, basically, right? So it means like his girlfriend from Delhi. You can look up, the song will, show up on YouTube and you can watch it as well. So there are many songs, which are using, Wala, or Wali in the context is like to sort of like identify the person, from that particular city or town, right? So that's case number two. Uh, you can say like Lucknow Wali auntie, or New York Wali Mosi. Mosi is your mom's sister. Lucknow Wali auntie, or anything basically, or Lucknow Wali gully. Gully is like a street, right? So start using it. Like, people also use it to sort of, if they like a particular object, from a particular place, like, um, Lucknow Wali Jutiyan. Juti is like Jutiyan is like referring to shoes like which women wear, right? So they're very famous if they are from Lucknow, right? Or so it can also be used for that, like, to identify a particular object which is, famous in town, right? So that's case number two. So let's do case number three for Wala and Wali. In this case, when you are saying Wali or Wala, you are specifying a particular thing, right? Uh, if you are familiar with Hindi adjectives that we covered in the past, and if you add Wala, Wali, and Wale in that, it makes it very specific object. So even with the adjective you had, you are making it even more specific, right? So I'm going to give an example of that, right? I mean, so for example, if you like, a shirt, where the color of the shirt is brown, right? And brown in Hindi is bhura, right? Um, shirt is feminine, right? So you can say if you like a shirt, and if somebody is getting you a shirt, And if you want to be very specific, you can say buri wali shirt. And buri is again the feminine version of bura. So buri wali shirt. Like I want a shirt, but that particular one, right? Kali wali shirt, right? Or or if you let's say I take more examples before I formally write down all of them. Um, or let's say you want like a something which is chota, small, let's say tree, right? You can say chota wala peड़, small one. I want a tree, but a small one, right? Or I want a gift, but like chota wala gift, a particular one, right? Chota wala gift. So think about, think about all the adjectives and try putting wala, wali, and wale based on the type of adjective, right? If it is a masculine, you'll put wala. If it is feminine, you'll put wali, right? So try putting it and see if it is making sense or not, right? I encourage you to write down on the chat box as well, so I can test your understanding of that as well, right? So and in the meantime, I'll give you a formal list of all these adjectives plus wala. So here we have chota wala. So chota and then you have wala. You are referring to a small one, right? It can also mean that let's say you have two kids, right? You want to you're talking about your just a moment. If you have two kids and if you want to say something about your younger son, younger kid, uh, you know, first of all you will say chota bacha, right? But if you want to specify a quality about the smaller one, right, you say chota wala bacha, right? मेरा छोटा वाला बच्चा smart है, right? So here you have adjective and you're putting wala after that. So chota wala. We do more. Lal wala. Lal is your color red. Lal wala. Red one. Okay. So lal wala. Next one is halka wala. Halka is light. So you have her and then half la ka halka wala. Again, you can use it based on the sentence you want to use. If you're purchasing a bed and it's you don't like the heavy one, you want a light one, you can say मुझे हल्का वाला mattress चाहिए, right? Or हल्की वाली mattress चाहिए, right? So that's examples of when you have adjectives here, and after that you're using wala, right? As we discussed before, if you're using all of them, like right now, all of them are masculine. If you want to make them feminine, choti wali, so choti wali beti, like smaller daughter, lal wali, like lal wali sari, so red sari, red one, and halki wali, right? All of them are feminine singular. So that's case third of using wala, right? And just to repeat, you are specifying certain things when you are using it with adjectives, right? Okay, so let's do case 4 here. Feel free to write down any questions or comments you may have. As I said, you can practice your understanding by taking an adjective and adding wala and wali in that. Or that will help me understand whether you sort of understood the concept or not. So feel free to use the chat box for that purposes. Now, wala can also be used with verb, right? Um, so using it with verb, right? So take any verb, right? We've covered a lot of verb like chalna, bolna, khana, pina, right? Now, let's take a quick pause here. Can you think about it? Like, what will it mean? Like, if you're using it with chalna and you have wala, it will become chalne wala, right? Bolne wala, right? Let's say instead of khana, I had ane or jane. Right? Ana is to come, and jana is to go. And when you have ana plus wala, it's ane wala, right? And jana plus wala, jane wala. So let me give you an example. Um, let's say one of my friend, his name is Matthew, right? If I say Matthew walks, the sentence would be Matthew chalta hai, right? Matthew walks. But if I say Matthew chalne wala hai, what will it mean? Or Matthew बोलने वाला है, Matthew आने वाला है, and Matthew जाने वाला है. I'll take a quick break and I'll see if you can make an educated guess here. He's a walker. Okay, what else? Let's see. You give a. There's no negative remarks, so feel free to try anything. Saida and Greg, you want to give it a try? When I say Matthew आने वाला है, I'll give you one more hint. Okay, so if you remember, when we say Matthew, um, Matthew न्यूयॉर्क से आता है, present indefinite, right? आता है. न्यूयॉर्क से is from New York, from New York. So when I say Matthew न्यूयॉर्क से आता है, it means Matthew comes from New York, right? Matthew, if I change it and if I say Matthew न्यूयॉर्क से आने वाला है, Matthew न्यूयॉर्क से आने वाला है, it will mean, hopefully it's already give you some hint, Matthew न्यूयॉर्क से आने वाला है, it's about to come. Something is not happened, but it's about to happen in the future, right? So that's what it means. Like Matthew न्यूयॉर्क से आने वाला है, Matthew न्यूयॉर्क को जाने वाला, he's about to go to New York, right? So in this fourth case, when you're using wala with verb, it means like something that's about to happen in the future, right? You can use it in the past also, but let me first write down all the scenarios for the future, so that way it will give you an idea. So something that's about to happen, about to, right? Thanks for trying, everyone. Though. Good. So let me write down all the verbs. So you have ana, you have jana. Ana is to come, jana is to go. You have likhna, likhna is to write, and then bolna, and let's say dodna. Dodna is to run. And if I'm using wala with them, it will become aane wala or aane wali. So if you are in the train station in India and the announcement says train aane wali hai, that means the train is about to come, right? Or if you're at an airport and it says airplane aane wala hai, that means the plane is about to land, right? So it's a very important thing. Uh, Next one, jana is to go, wala is so about to, let me write down the English also. About to come. About to come. जाने वाला, जाने वाला and जाने वाली. About to go. So if you're at the again airplane at the airport or at the railway station, and if they're announcing your name and they're saying that passenger XYZ, where are you? आपका plane जाने वाला है और आपकी train जाने वाली है. That means you have to rush because your plane or your train is about to depart, right? Okay. Next one I have is likhne wala. It's like about to write. लिखने वाला और लिखने वाली, right? uh, बोलने वाला और बोलने, about to speak basically, right? So let's say if the president of the US is giving or an address to the nation, right? I mean, you can say that president बोलने, if you want to give respect, you will say wale. So president बोलने वाले हैं, right? Or governor बोलने वाला है, like the governor is about to address, right? दौड़ने, दौड़ना is to run. This is to speak, to run. So it's like दौड़ने वाला or दौड़ने वाली, about to run. So if you are into marathons and all, and the run, it's your race is about to start, you can say मैं दौड़ने वाला हूँ, right? So I hope it clarifies it. We've we went over different scenarios, right? So now I want to give you some examples on how to use them in sentence, right? So at least you'll have something to work on, right? Okay, so I'll write it down how to write. There was one quick question: how to write Dorna. So in Devanagari, so you have a the, right? Thou. So it's O basically. So the with O of Aurat, the, and then you have the, which is this the, and then you have na, right? So na with a, na, dodna, right? And when you say dodne wala, you have do, the, and then ne wala. So consider wala is also is one of the, let's say, postposition, because when you have dodna and you add wala, na becomes ne. You're using oblique case here, right? So that's dodne wala, right? Um, Dodne wala can also be, it also refers to runner basically, right? Someone who runs, dodne wala, right? So think about it that way as well. It can also, it can have two meanings. Like it could mean that you're about to run. It could also mean that like somebody who runs for a living, dodne wala, likhne wala, somebody who makes his living by writing, likhne wala. So likhne wala is nothing but a writer, right? Bolne wala is nothing but a speaker as well. So it could mean two things. So that's basically using it with verb. So let me give you two more examples before you know, before we go to the next case. So let's say I'll take the same example, Matthew, um, New York से आने वाला है. It means Matthew is about to come or arrive from New York, right? Um, Now, what if you have tha, right? So let's say you have Matthew, New York से आने वाला था. And when will you use it? Like, it's basically what you're saying that Matthew was everything else is same. Like Matthew was about to come from New York. So storytelling is one of the examples. Let's say you are telling a story to someone, one of your friends, or some incident you want to explain them that my friend was about to arrive at this particular station and this happened, right? Or he was about to arrive and all of a sudden his train got delayed, right? So in those cases you can use it with the past also. So and again, the difference is like here you have have and you replaced have with tha, but that's it. Everything else remains the same, right? So any question, feel free to write it down. Otherwise, we'll jump to the next section. You can also say thumbs up if you like. If you're okay with this case 4. So that will give me confidence. Case 5. Okay, so some cultural aspect. If you have some, you know, most likely if you have some friends from the western part of India, there's a lot of like a big Parsi community in the the northwest of India, right? Northwest, and I'm not sure if you have friends from like a Parsi community, but a lot of them have Wala at the end of their last name, right? So I'll write down some of the last name, and then we'll discuss the origin of it, right? Um, so a lot of Parsi surnames such as Reswala or Mithaiwala, Daruwala, and then Motorwala or Chandiwala. So as you can guess that what we are trying to do here is like people when they moved in the 8th century, late 8th century or 7th century, when they moved from the Zoroastrian community, when they moved from like some of the uh, Western European country or the Middle East, when they moved to the northwest part of India, they started doing a lot of they occupied some of the professions, and based on the profession they started using these last names, like, and basically nothing but like so if you have friends, his name is, let's say, again in this case, let's say Matthew, and his name is Matthew Presswala. you can interpret that maybe they're like, his forefathers, or like, they had this profession, right? So that's why, someone who had this profession, someone who, you know who has press, or like, they were into the media basically, who had this business, right? Mithai wala, someone. And again, it doesn't mean that they currently have this, profession. They probably had it before, right? They have, or they had sold sweets, right? Daru is nothing but liquor, liquor seller, right? And motor is, automobile. Chandi is your silver. Silver, let's say if they have ornaments made of silver, right? So pretty much, it's the Parsi surnames or last names. So I wanted to cover it just to give you the cultural aspect of, Wala. So when you hear like the last name of people with Wala, it means like, either they or their forefathers, they were, they had this profession or business. That's why they used this particular Wala with them. Any questions, feel free to write it down so we can cover those as well. There are others as well, Bartley Wala or Pune Wala, so it's not necessarily with profession, but also if they are from particular area. So if they immigrated to Pune, you know, Pune is like, Pune basically. So if they say Pune Wala, that means like they immigrated to Pune, right? So Pune Wala. Okay. Now we'll move to the next section, which is case number 6. I know it's a lot to cover, but the idea here is by the end of this class, you'll be familiar with all the all varieties of Wala. Now, in case number 6, I'll cover song specific, right? And I'm gonna write all of them, all the instances which are used in the song, and I'm gonna ask you what it means, right? So let me first write it down. In the song, you have Dilwala. You also have Kehne Wala. And you have Police Wala, and you have Daulat Wala. So I'm going to take a quick, pause here. Um, if you don't know the meaning of the first part, I'll help you out. But I want you to, sort of make an educated guess on what it would mean. So Dil is heart, and Dil Wala is okay, okay, hearted, or person with good heart. Okay, Kehna is to tell, right? But remember, we covered one case where we had verb and wala. So कहना plus wala is कहने वाला. So it would mean, okay. So how will you say storyteller? Let's say if you want to, like, okay, you want to say storyteller, and it would mean in Hindi, story is kahani, right? A storyteller would be kahani. We'll take a quick break. I need answers from you on that. So story is kahani. very famous movie, right? So kahani, very simple. Make a guess. Very good. Kahani kehne wala, right? So all you have to do is put a kahani in front of kehne wala. So kehne wala is nothing but a teller. Teller, not like a ATM or like a bank teller, but someone who tells, right? Kehne wala. So the song says कहता रहेगा कहने वाला. Like people if they want to gossip, they'll continue to gossip. They'll continue to speak, right? Police wala. Let's see if you got it. Police is a profession, and police wala would be policeman. Very good, policeman. Daulat, daulat. If you don't know the word, it's basically so you have the with o, then la, and then the. Daulat means wealth, wealth, and when you say daulat wala, it means rich man. Very good. A rich man, right? Daulat wala. So all these like force in if you go to the song that we have for this particular class, which is like uh, Dil ki baat sune dil wala, all these four scenarios are used or instances are used of wala in the song, right? Dilli wala, sorry, dil wala, which is person with a good heart. Kehne wala, it's a teller or somebody who tells. Police wala, it's a policeman, and Daulat wala, it's a rich man, right? Four instances, right? If you are into ghazals, which is like a form of one variation, you can think of it like a jazz music in Hindi. Very famous ghazal from Jagdeep Singh, like which where he says, "Ye daulat bhi le lo." That means you take away this richness from me, but give me back my childhood days. So we're not there yet. We are not. So far we are only limiting ourselves to the classical Bollywood song, but eventually, as we make progress, we'll do some advanced level, scenarios as well. But my objective, just to take a small tangent here, my objective here is like after the end of, so this is I think the fourth class on Bollywood, like songs, where we are taking like some categories from the Bollywood songs and we are discussing vocabulary. I plan to cover 4 to 6 more classes just on this section. The exercise here would be that I'll give you one song to write. The idea here is like after learning or after going through all these like 8 to 10 songs, you have to come up with a very simple song. And it doesn't have to be fancy, but understand the pattern of what we are learning, and then use these keywords to make a simple song, right? And I think it'll be a very good exercise. You'll be a songwriter, so what can be better than that, right? So we still have time, so I'm gonna cover some more scenarios. So after the 6 cases of Wala, so the next one I have is Hal. Hal is her with a and then the condition. Um, so when you say how are you, let me ask you how do you say that in Hindi? Like so far, so that way at least we'll check your understanding. Okay. What else? Okay. So well, it's good that very good. So it's good that you are so far. What I have taught in the class is आप कैसे हैं? How are you? Right? Aap is you, kaise is how, and R basically is hai. Other variation is kya हाल है. क्या हाल है? क्या is what, हाल is condition, है is. What's your condition? That's exactly what you're asking when you're asking someone. So when you say kya hal hai, you're not specifying a pronoun. It's basically implicit. It's implied that you're asking someone kya hal hai. If you want to be very specific, you can say आपके क्या हाल है. What's your condition, right? How are you? Indirect way of saying how are you, right? Um, you can also make a variation. Instead of आपके, you can say उनके. उनके is nothing but वे. वे is they plus के. So there, उनके क्या हाल है? What's their condition, right? Again, all the variations of like pronouns. तेरे is like a very informal you. तेरे क्या हाल है? तुम्हारे क्या हाल है? हमारे is our. हमारे क्या हाल है? What's our condition basically, right? So basically, when I call my parents, right, and if I want to know the well-beings of my extended family, right, I usually say, उनके क्या हाल है? What's their condition, right? Or you can also say उसके, he or she. So if I have a younger brother or younger sister, and if I want to find out their well-being while I'm talking to my parents, I can say उसके क्या हाल है. And hal is neutral. You're not changing hal. Like, you can change here. You can change the pronoun, but hal will remain the same. So it's not like you will make a masculine or feminine out of it. Like it will remain as is, hal, right? So that's basically kya hal hai. There's one more comment which is very good, which is like आपकी तबीयत कैसी है? You can use that as well. आपकी तबीयत कैसी है? And tabiyat is nothing but health. Health. Your, how is, how is your health, right? So that's third way of saying it, right? So I'll simply write down all of them so that way you'll, because I think so I'll write down all of them. Three way of saying how are you. First one is आप कैसे हैं. Second one is आपके क्या हाल है. What's your condition? And the third one is आपकी तबीयत कैसी है. तबीयत is nothing but health. How's your health? So these are three ways of asking someone how they are, or how are you basically, right? I hope this is helpful. Let's see the time. So we are a little bit behind on the time, so I could cover the last topic. Probably we can cover it in the next class. And what I wanted to cover was like variations of conversation, like so basically different type of conversation, different types of conversation. So like somebody is like a very straight talker, right? I mean, they speak to you on your face, right? So that's straight talk. Straight talk, small talk, you know. Some people are not direct, they take different tangents, right? When they are making their point, right? Similarly, like, long conversation, short conversation, all these variations, because of, the time limitation, we'll cover it in the next class. Um, so again, in the song, you will say that in the second line, when the guy says, "Dil ka hal sune dil wala, सीधी सी बात." And if I remove C, what he's saying, सीधी बात is like a straight topic, straight conversation. And सीधी सी बात, na mirch masala. Na is negating it, but what he's saying is like, it's a straight topic, there's a straight conversation, there's no mirch and masala. So when you say there's no mirch masala is spices, right? So if somebody is putting spices in the conversation, they're changing it, right? Or they're making it spicy to just to make sensation out of it, right? So that's pretty much the guy is saying that it's a straight conversation. It's a very simple topic. There is no mirch masala in it. There is no sort of like spices in it, right? But I don't want to rush ourselves, and it's a very important topic. So let's take in the next class. For folks who are watching on YouTube, let's meet again.